Kaʻapuni, Honua, global travel. For centuries, our people skillfully traveled at will across the largest body of water on Earth. Constant seekers of knowledge, Hawaiians are always eager to explore what lies beyond the horizon. We come from a rich oceanic heritage, marked by extraordinary creativity and innovation. Hence, the notion of connecting with and fully engaging the world around us is part of our very nature.
When you think about exploration, you think about like curiosity. That's like at the heart of all the exploration. It all kind of starts with that curiosity. Going over the next hill, going over the horizon, going around the bend and see what's going on. With this worldwide voyage coming up, I see it as a continuum of that very essence. Gathering knowledge and sharing knowledge. But that's what the voyage is about. The voyage, again, is about learning. It's a learning journey to the max. That's what exploration's about. There's not too many places on this earth more beautiful than Hawaii. It's not a secret why people, want to come here and flock here and see the beauty of the ocean, the people, the land. So it is a special place on this planet. The beauty is to be able to take what we learn from these other places and adapt it, and we try and find that way to embrace others to move forward. The Hawaiians, they always had that capacity.
No matter how far the spirit of adventure takes us, there's always that special feeling that tugs at our hearts, our na'au, pointing us in the direction of home.
O ke aloha aina, oia ka ume mageneti I loko ka pu'uai o ka lāhui. E kāohi ana I ka noho ku'o ko'a lanakila ana o kona aina hānau pono I. Pēlā ke aloha I loko ka pu'uwai o ke kanaka no kona aina hānau pono I. A ole ike maka ia mea he aloha. A ole ho'i hiki ke ho'opa'a ia. A ole ho'i e hiki ke hāhā ia. Aka, ua laha wale aku o ia, ua lele wale aku, a pili I kona aina hānau pono I iho. Me he umela o ke kui mageneti.
Late 19th century legislator and Hawaiian Patriotic League president Joseph Navahi describes with great passion the special feeling we as Hawaiians have for these islands. At a time of intense international interchange, Navahi warned that we must safeguard Hawaii from foreign control and be loyal to our homeland. Recognizing the power of print, he co-founded and edited the newspaper Ke Aloha Aina with his wife Emma to promote Hawaiian patriotism. Did you know there were more than 100 Hawaiian language newspapers in circulation between 1834 and 1948? That's over 1 million typescript pages of Hawaiian text, of which some 95% still await translation into English. Can you imagine all of that valuable information on Hawaiian history, culture, politics, sciences, and international affairs from a Hawaiian perspective? What an exciting legacy of learning for our keiki. In this next hour, we will draw from Hawaiian language newspapers as we explore European travel by Hawaiian royalty and one particular monarch's global search for the latest technology. We'll look at Hawaiians performing, competing, and advocating on a world stage. We'll peer into the daily life of an anxious wrestler preparing for college travel, and we'll rediscover the poetic power of mele that can transport you on the wings of imagination. These episodes are entries in an amazing travel log, stories that affirm our identity as Hawaiians and keep us ever mindful that as we Kaʻapuni Honua travel the world, Hawaii will always be home.
ʻaʻohe no he wahi nani e like me ka home kula iwi.
The old saying is true, home is where the heart is. That's why leaving home for any reason is never easy. When Queen Kapi'olani and Princess Liliuokalani attended the Golden Jubilee of Queen Victoria of Great Britain in 1887, their hearts must have been filled with excitement and caution. The well-known song, The Queen's Jubilee, begins with the line, Mahalo piha, mo'i o enelani. Wholehearted admiration for the Queen of England, an expression of honor and celebration. The title of another song from that era, E Nihi Kahele, cautions Kapi'olani to tread softly and be mindful of her people who eagerly await her return home. During that time, many bright young Hawaiians, including Princess Ka'iulani, were sent by King Kalakaua to study in the finest institutions abroad. They schooled in such places as Japan, Italy, France, and Britain. The intent was that they would return home to serve their people. Today, many young Hawaiians choose to leave Hawaii to study on the continent. Like those before them, they feel the excitement of being out in the big world and the anxieties of leaving the safety of home and the people they love.
I've been doing judo for about 12 years, ever since I was 5 years old. This past summer, I was able to travel to Japan because of judo. This was Yamaguchi sensei. He invites Hawaii players to come up to Japan to practice judo, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the older guys that got to go. I had to travel by myself. I took an airplane to Korea, and then from Korea back to Japan. From there, I slept at the airport. The next morning, I had to catch a bus to a train station, a 4-hour bus drive. From the train, I had to go to a town. From there, walk to the hotel. I wanted to go to Japan because, honestly, I just wanted to experience the world. I wanted to experience new cultures because I know that there's so much more to the world, but also I wanted to learn how to appreciate my home better.
When Jonah went to Japan, one thing I think that really helped him was what he had learned here at Kamehameha, learning about tolerance and diversity. So he was the one who was there, who was kind of being the example of what it means to be a Hawaiian.
So I know when I meet new people, I'd want to introduce myself as a Hawaiian, especially showing them the real values and the identities I have that I learned back home.
Without knowing it, they're a reflection of who we are here. So when he goes out to the world, he's actually like an ambassador of what it means to be a Hawaiian.
We want them to represent, our state, Hawaiian, our country, but it's really about reaching people and touching their lives and making a difference and helping people along the way. It's the journey.
And not just being there by himself, but he also helps to educate, like what he knows about our king, queen, what is happening here.
And because of his good nature and his, the person that he is, he fit in very well, and there was like a mutual benefit.
I've been wrestling for about 4 years now. I started 8th grade. My friend's mom made these posters for us. So last year, this was my rival. This is one of the few times that I took him down, and this was at I-Leach Championships. We got first place. Now that I'm a senior, I'm looking to go to college right after summer. So some of the schools I applied to and got into were Midland University, Boise State, Southern Oregon University, Oregon State, and San Jose State, and UH Manoa. I applied to 6 schools.
How many schools did you get into or got into?
I got into 5 of them, I'm pretty sure.
5 or 6?
Yeah.
One of the things that we like to tell our sons is that, they're not the only ones in the family that have used sports as a vehicle to travel and see the world. Because their great-great-grandfather Henry Looning, he did the same thing back in 1924. From Hawaii, he traveled all the way to France and he was part of the United States Olympic swim team. And he was able to compete alongside of Tuku Hanamoku and represent the United States and Hawaii.
I'm very excited to go to college. Wrestling really helped my plans for college because it was able to give me scholarship money and it opened the doors from my college career.
Well, you know, the world today that our children are growing up in is different from the world that we grew up in, right? Because of technology kind of shrunk the world. So that kind of makes it almost necessary for our children to have a broader version of what the world is like, what life is like.
As a parent, it's one of the hardest things to encourage your child to go away from home, but having that worldview and then just saying, make sure you come back now because we need you here. We need you here to make a difference for our people, for our state, for our country.
I believe that for sure I'll be coming back. After college, I want to come back here and help out the community because I was thinking about doing law school back here at UH and hopefully getting into the government somehow and changing things.
Ko kākou aina hānau, a ohe ona lua ma ka honua e like ai.
O ke ali'i ka lā kaua, ka mō I mua loa I kaʻahele I ke ao nei, I mea e pōmaika I ai kona upuni, a me kona lāhui kanaka ho'i.
King David Kalakaua, the Merry Monarch, is well known as a composer and for helping to revive the hula. What you may not know is that he spoke multiple languages, was well acquainted with world literature, and was an inventor in his own right. After returning from his trip around the world, he was inspired to make Iolani Palace one of the most advanced buildings of its day. Influenced by a friend, Thomas Edison, Kalakaua installed lights in the palace 4 years before electricity came to the White House and Buckingham Palace. He also installed electric lamp posts throughout the city. Each palace bathroom had its own indoor plumbing. A few years after the telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell, Kalakaua had Hawaii's first phones installed, connecting the palace to his boathouse. He envisioned a progressive Hawaiian kingdom that was technically advanced, one that could strategically leverage its resources as a relevant global player in a rapidly changing world. Today, young people live in a world of technology, and like Kalakaua, they are intrigued by its capacity to enhance the quality of life here in Hawaii and around the globe.
I think there are a lot of things in the palace that show Hawaiian aesthetic melded to Western Victorian aesthetics of the time. The building, of course, looks very Western. It's known as an American Florentine style. It has some French influence. It's using concrete, which was very modern for the time. And yet you have various designs in it that incorporate a Hawaiian aesthetic. It's designed to be very open to the outer air. You have the big lanais so that the Royal Hawaiian Band could play on the outside. I think that's his primary motivation in building the palace, is to establish a sophisticated, worldly visual image as a way of showing the world that Hawaiians are not primitive. They're very sophisticated, they're very well educated, they're literate, they know what's going on in the world, and I think he's quite visionary.
Along with the technology comes a need for education, a different kind of education. And today, I think our challenges are many because the technology that we're given access to compels teachers to reflect on our own practice and say, okay, so if this technology performs this role, then what does that mean that I should be doing with them in the classroom to make better use of their time, to enhance the kinds of student habits that would best equip them to use the tools of technology that they have at their disposal that causes their learning to grow exponentially.
A lot of the class is hands-on.
whether it be computer and 3D printing, or getting in there and cutting up the balsa wood, erecting up the roof and putting up walls themselves. So it's pretty good fun. They enjoy themselves every year.
I really just like tinkering with things. It's all of the work that goes into it and the product that you get out of it. It's just really enticing to me. I mean, it's fun, you can see, but...
Sort of meshing the science and the math into a creative process where you can create something that actually works in real life. So that's cool.
So the projects that the kids are working on, it gives them instant gratification, actually. That knowledge being put to applicable use gives the students a very big intrinsic boost.
Well, basically I redesigned a soda can. So what I did was I took a regular soda can and tried to think about what the problems that we face, and some of the problems I thought of was the grip of the soda can. So what I did here was I changed the grip so it's kind of indented so it's easier to hold. I thought about the soda can tab and how sometimes it is a problem to open. So I made it indented, as you can see, so that it's easier to, get your finger in there and open it.
I redesigned the water bottle. So in this water bottle, you can have a snack in one side and then a drink in the other side. And then there's a Velcro strap on the outside that you can put a Cliff Bar, a granola bar.
It's a prosthetic hand. And what it's supposed to be for is for people, they've been amputated from here on. Actually, my uncle, he was in an electrical accident and lost both of his hands. And so he actually had two hands. One of them was an electronic hand, and it senses how he moves his fingers. He also had another hand, and that's where the cable system, so the wire would go behind his back. When he shrugged his shoulders, it would open these hooks. And so what I did was I kind of bonded the two ideas. And so I have the cable system, and it's by using fingers.
This is Kahia's prosthetic arm modeling, so he can send that out to be produced, manufactured as a prototype.
Cultivating humanity in an age of technology. That's another aspect of the Kamehameha education that I know our teachers pride themselves in, but it is a real opportunity or a privilege to be able to serve, to be able to use the ike that we've learned here, the culture that we've grown in here, and apply it to the situations that we encounter in life.
E hiki mai ana nā kukui wila I Honolulu nei. He nū hou keia ke aupuni o ka lā kaua.
Ka hano o Hawaii, ua hāawi ia no Hawaii ke kūlana kie I loa'a ole I nā luna o nā aupuni ea e.
In 1881, King Kalakaua embarked on a worldwide voyage to study immigration and enhance diplomatic relations. He would be the first monarch to circumnavigate the globe. To prepare for this undertaking, he relied on his study of world politics and his background in law. He corresponded with heads of state and stayed abreast of international news. By the time he set sail, Kalakaua was well prepared to engage in global interaction. Throughout his tour, he was formally received with all the high honors due to him as a king, and warmly welcomed as a peer by other monarchs. They saw in him the poise, intellect, and charm befitting the station of king. Hawaii was recognized as an independent kingdom, and it enjoyed a state of sovereignty which many feel has never been truly relinquished, even until today. With our ali'i as examples, we are reminded that all of us are ambassadors. We are prepared and ready to step up to the highest levels of leadership and proudly represent our people.
I think it's pretty obvious that just our geographic location and our size as Hawaii, that we could very easily be overlooked by the rest of the world. And especially in the 1800s, we were trying to establish ourselves as some real player in the game, in the international game. And so to do that, we needed to make sure that we had good relationships with the Kaʻapuni Nui, the big nations of the world.
When King Kalakaua was circumventing the world, he was there ensuring the world knew Hawaii was an independent state. You start to realize our kupuna really cared for their country, but more importantly, they cared for their people.
Iokea, one of Kalakaua's main men, was sent to Russia for quite a while to develop a stronger relationship with the Russian mo'i. And at the time, there was a lot of teasing going on in the global community for the Hawaiians, towards the Hawaiians. And yet, in 1883, there was a crowning for the ruler of Serbia. And at the dinner, the royal banquet that was held after this ruler was crowned, the Hawaiian Iokea was placed right next to the queen. And so in that newspaper article from 1883, it was boasting that Hawaii should be proud because our Hawaiians really are recognized and thought of highly, in high regard. We're not just the Hawaiians that get pushed to the side, but we really do matter to these people, and we have a place at the table.
Well, the one person, one Hawaiian that is really my hero on the international level is Timoteo Ha'alilio. Timoteo was given a kuleana, a responsibility by King Kamehameha III to secure the recognition of Hawaii as an independent and sovereign state from Great Britain, France, and the United States. He never left Hawaii before, but he left to ensure that he needed to get that recognition, and they managed to do that. Now, Ha'alilio, he got pneumonia. He got sick. So he left Anali'i. He came back Anali'i, but he was no longer living. But what he left is the legacy of Hawaii as an independent state. He emulates, to me, what is kuleana. He died for that kuleana. And I think he gave the ultimate sacrifice. The world is our lo'i. We have to understand that. Or should I say, we need to be reintroduced to that. Because this is not the beginning. This is a continuation of what our kupuna have done. You know, when Kalakaua sent the students out, you know, like Pi'anaya or Robert Wilcox to Italy, he wasn't sending them out to leave. He was sending them out to learn and come back. What are you going to contribute to the country? And I think it's very important for our people here to travel the world to understand Hawaii's place. So travel to Europe, travel to Asia, come home because you learned something that you can contribute. Whatever it is, find your kuleana. But before you can identify your kuleana, you need to have a vision. In order to have that vision, you need to know the history. Kawama hope, that is your future.
Hawaii I mua o ke ao ni, ua apo ia ko kākou wahi aupuni, aua lilo, he aupuni nui.
Tu ka hana moku ka moho o ke ao. Hapai oia I ka hanohano o kona aina hana o mamua ona. Haa he o Hawaii maona la.
Po'okela, the pursuit of excellence. In a Hawaiian world, we always expect to do our very best work. On the field of competition, we expect to win. As recalled in the song Wyomina, a group of Paniolo from Waimea traveled to Cheyenne, Wyoming in 1908 to compete against the best cowboys in America. Ikua Purdy roped a steer in 56 seconds, winning first place. Archibald Ka'aua took third, and Jack Lowe, suffering a bout of asthma, took sixth. When news of their victory reached Hawaii by telegraph, the islands erupted with cheers of joy and pride. In the years that followed, a humble yet confident waterman, Duke Paoa Kahanamoku, garnered the world's attention, winning 3 gold, 2 silver, and 1 bronze medal in 4 different Olympics, like the Paniolo before him. He had perfected his skills and kept the love for his land and people in his heart. He was fully prepared to win. Newspapers reveal the worldwide attention he received, but it was the pride of the Hawaiian people that meant the most to him. In 1927, Kamehameha graduate Tandy Mackenzie of Hana Maui traveled to Milan, Italy, to audition with legendary conductor Arturo Toscanini. Thus began Tandy's opera career, singing in cities like Paris and Prague and Salzburg. Some 50 years later, another young Kamehameha tenor broke through the elite ranks of opera. Keith Ikaya Purdy has appeared on the same European stages graced by the vocal giants of our time. Clearly, there are sacrifices to be made when you step onto a world stage, but in the pursuit of excellence, there are moments of humility when you realize, in some small way, you may have changed the world.
My name is Eric Norseth. I'm a senior this year, graduating class of 2014. What really got me into music was all the musicals I performed in since I was a child. I've been performing constantly since I was 6, and just the feeling of being able to perform on stage in front of others is just really quite addicting to me. It's something that I've always done and something that I hope I'll always do for the rest of my life. I really want to be a professional musician. It is honestly my dream. Today I have the opportunity to talk to Keith Ikaya Purdy. He's a class of 75 grad and currently resides in Germany. He's a professional opera singer, and because of his amazing talents, he's had the opportunity to travel the world and sing in some of the world's finest opera houses.
Oh, trésor charmant, oh, merveilleux, salut.
So what inspired you to become an opera singer?
It's probably the same story with a lot of opera singers. You know, I saw the movie The Great Caruso with Mario Lanza on television and kind of like fell in love with the music. And then after Kamehameha, when I went to university, I decided to study music and voice. And it wasn't until probably after doing it around 5 or 8 years in the Bay Area and doing some competitions and winning, and then knowing that, you know, thinking, well, okay, maybe this is an option to make, you know, to sing and make a living from singing.
So as an opera singer, you went overseas to Italy, and I believe you're Pavarotti's understudy.
They were doing Tosca, and Pavarotti was doing the tenor part. And the second performance, Pavarotti got sick. And so I had to run to the theater, and it was really quite late, just before the curtain. And I remember just running there and, you know, thinking, oh God, I have to warm up, and do I have time to warm up?
That just sounds crazy. So what was the audience's reaction when they realized that Pavarotti wasn't performing?
You hear this kind of low murmur through the theater because they know something that usually means something's wrong. And so when you said Pavarotti was sick, you know, a huge moan throughout the audience, and that Keith Ikaya Purdy was going to be singing. You know, and I was just thinking, everyone in the audience is probably sitting there going, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Never heard of him before.
Did that make you nervous at all?
I think what really helped is that I don't let nervous situations overtake me. I'm always, you know, I keep it very calm, and if you know what you're doing in musically and vocally and all of that, there's no reason to stress yourself out. And it was great. It was a great successful evening. One part is that the audience is on the side of, let's say, the underdog, because, you know, them's coming in and type of thing. And I think as long as you can fulfill everyone's expectations and more, then it's a big success.
So what are some tips or advice you would give young aspiring musicians?
In the end, it's everything's a learning thing. Everything's a learning thing, and you take it all in and you process it, you make it yours, and that makes you a more interesting artist. When I started singing in Europe, every summer I went back to California and studied, you know. So it's always something that you're always studying. It's a lifelong commitment, a lifelong study. You know, it's not once you made it, you don't have to study anymore. That's the immediate way to end a career is before you start is to stop studying.
Hawaii no ka oi. Lawe haʻahe o ka bana lāhui Hawaii ka moho. A haʻahe o kākou no ka inoa o ko kākou aina hānau.
He nui ka ui I loko ka ōlelo kumu o Hawaii nei. O ka oilo aku I ka wae mele I ai.
By the mid-1800s, Hawaiians had aggressively pursued literacy, the new technology of the time. This resulted in Hawaii having among the world's highest literacy rates, surpassing both the United States and Europe. Contrary to common belief, our kupuna of the 19th century were highly dynamic, culturally vibrant, and globally engaged. This is evidenced by the decades of countless newspaper articles attesting to this fact. Today, we have at our fingertips an extraordinary literacy legacy of Hawaiian newspapers representing over 100 years of globally conscious dialogue. Featured prominently throughout these pages are thousands of stories and songs reflecting both physical travel as well as poetic voyages upon the sea of knowledge and imagination.
A lot of times when we get into research, we get stuck in looking at just a few resources, but we forget to look at another big resource, which is Hawaiian language sources and writings. But in the Hawaiian language newspapers, they were running for over 100 years, and there were many, many different papers that popped up throughout that span of time. The Hawaiians are really a people who need a collective experience. We don't see ourselves as just individuals living alone in a world all to ourselves. We thrive on the connections that we have and the relationships that we have with other people. And the newspapers were just that. They were a way for everyone to have a voice in what was going on. And it got everyone, the whole lāhui, involved. It was their network, their way of staying in touch with each other and continuing the pursuit of knowledge, really. Some of the most exciting things that you'll find in the newspapers are about lands outside of Hawaii and all of the news that are going on at the time, translated from everyone else's language so that the Hawaiians could keep up. And they were really ahead of their time in that they knew what was going on around the rest of the world. A lot of times today when we think of mele, we just look at them as entertainment. And it pretty much stops there. But in times past, the audience was just as engaged in the mele as were the dancers, the singers, the composers, and all of the songs that we are singing this year are prime examples.
Aloha mai ka ua o wau makani olu, o wau ke alakai pū no Nakane I ka papa umikuma lua, and e himeni ana mākou I ke mele o Waiomina. Makemake au e imi no ke kahi mau mea e pili ana I ke mele, so pehea au e imi ai no nā mea, no ke mele.
Ne, maikai. No leila, o iei ka ua ma ka hale ho ike o bihopa. E nana paha ka ua I ke kahi mau mea, ke kahi momi I anei. When I was walking Makani Olu through today, we started off with the context of why it was written. And that Waiomina song was written about this one experience in Wyoming in 1908. And the first place to look when I think of 1908 is a newspaper written in that time. So it says right away, Ikuā, the winner, the best in all the world at roping cattle. and that was the cattle roping in Cheyenne. See, so this picture is beautiful. Oia ka waiwai o na nupepa. Hiki ke imi aku I ho'okahi wale no hua olelo, ho'okahi inoa a hua mai, kahi hua mai kai.
Looking at these pictures is a good thing because it gives us, or it gives me some insight into daily life on the ranch. I think it's real good to look at these kind of things because this is just how people lived back then.
Because these things are in such a fragile state, they're over 100 years old, it's important that we capture everything that we can from them now while we still have them, especially with the types of technologies that are budding at this time. And if they're kind of forgotten or cast aside, they won't be there for much longer, and we won't be able to tap into those wisdoms, those great ideas of the past and bring them back into the future or into the current day. It's not just about creating new things, and it's not just about preserving old things, but it's both simultaneously and hand in hand. So we gotta keep giving attention to what's already come before us and then put in our little additions as we go along.
Princess Pauahi, well, she had this real regalness about her and this interest in learning new things and experiencing new things, to see things in different ways. Her major travel in life was with Charles Reed Bishop in somewhere around 1875. I'm imagining she planned this trip her entire life because the trip took over a year to complete. But she was marveling at the things that she saw, like the Great Sequoia, to the geysers that she saw at Yosemite, and then to the vastness of the country. She caught the train across the country. From there, they embark on a ship to Ireland. They're visiting places like the Blarney Stone, where there's a cute story about her kissing the Blarney Stone that gives you the gift of gab. She kisses it 3 times to make sure that she got that gift. Just incredible experiences that she gathered and recorded in detail. Each experience she recorded in her diary. It reveals the mind of a person who couldn't get enough learning. Everywhere she went, she was looking for how they did things differently so that she could bring it back with her to Hawaii. She intended for the lessons that she learned, the perspective she's gained, the depth that she'd acquired, to use it to better solve the challenges that Hawaii was facing at the time. So all those things, the travels, both abroad and in her own mind through her learning, led to her decision eventually that she would choose education as the primary vehicle to restore her people. I can't help but think that she was imagining an experience for these young people that provided them with all the richness of opportunity that she had. She saw these institutions, these Kamehameha schools, as the vehicle to carry that important kuleana.
Miss Mele.
Oh, aloha.
Thank you. Do you remember me from Miss Fontaine's class?
I do. I remember that. I remember you being extremely smart, well-spoken, and so I'm really glad to see you again.
So I had a few questions for you regarding international relations and everything, because I understand that you're a very global citizen. So I know that you worked as the Chief Operating Officer at the Global Fund. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
So it's the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, which are 3 diseases that are just wiping out large parts of the world. It was a huge fund and it helped a lot of people across Europe, across Asia. It helped a lot of communities who had these diseases. What I also learned was the resilience of people there. We talk about our lāhui and how strong we are. Oh my goodness, the communities there were incredible. And so that was a lesson for me there as well as here. And so our lāhui, as we build our strength, I see often what goes on in the world as well. So you look like you're interested in international work.
I am. I'm looking to study international relations at
Really?
New York University.
So first of all, know that other graduates have gone before you and they've done extremely well. So Kamehameha is already out there in the world and you have a path towards that.
So how would you describe the last 10 years as CEO of Kamehameha Schools?
Well, I think my biggest memory has been actually the whole 10-year journey. And that has to do with focusing on how are we going to get Pauahi's legacy shared with all of the keiki in Hawaii. So over the last 10 years, a number of people all around me have been out there in community, helping community schools, helping providers in communities take care of their own keiki. And it's been remarkable. And it positions Kamehameha Schools to serve Hawaii's children even better in the future. Before, when she signed her will, she was worried about her people, and she was worried about the fact that we wouldn't be able to compete in a world that was coming towards us. I think there's no question in her mind that we are able to compete, that we are able to lead, and that we are able to change the world, all in her values and her ways. I think about her often, and it's been such an honor and such a privilege to serve such an incredible woman. And I will always carry her with me, as you will too.
Ina I ho'okokoke ia nā kui hao mageneti I kahi ho'okahi. A leila, he mea maopopo loa me ke kāna lua ole o ka manao, ua ume like no la koa pau loa ke kahi I ke kahi. Pēlā hoi nā lāhui me nā kānaka pau loa I noho piha ia e ka uhane aloha I ka aina hānau. E ike awa ne I ko lākou huki ana, ume ana, a me ko lākou kauhi ana I ka noho ku o koa lanakila ana o ko lākou aina hānau. No ka mea, ua nui aku ke aloha no ka aina hānau ma mua o nā mea ea pau loa.